I'm Gwen Preston of Resource Maven. We're here at the Metals Investor Forum, the September edition, and I'm joined backstage now by Christie of Banyan. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. It's a great forum as usual.
So since you were last in this backstage zone with me, Banyan obviously put out some very big news, which is moving the resource from 1 million ounce to 4 million ounces. And this is sort of like this resource update. We talked about it lots, and there were lots of expectations. You beat most expectations. And I would say moving from 1 to 4 million ounces in sort of a 2.5 year period, that's a standout accomplishment across sort of gold projects, right? Like it's hard to grow gold.
Yeah, it's hard to get 1 million ounces, never mind 4.
Exactly. So I guess from here, the question is, like, you've continued drilling since that data cut off. Do you see this continuing? Like, is the rate of growth slowing down? Like, how do you feel about what the next phase will look like?
You know, getting to the next phase is really continuing to grow the resource because 4 million ounces is not really tier 1 quite yet. So we got a ways to go. And if you remember, to get from that 1 million to 4 million, we had 40,000 meters of drilling.
Right.
This morning, we were over 38,000 meters of our new drill program post-resource. So we're getting pretty close. Yeah. You know, this mineralization is just tremendously consistent at Powerline. We see it, you know, these 100-meter step-out holes. It's a sheeted vein system. You know, our targeting isn't, we don't have to wait for assays. You can't see grade, but you can see the vein densities. You can see if they're present or absent, which gives you a really good indication for drilling. So we're relatively confident that we're still on the right track. We haven't found edges of the mineralization yet. And in fact, we're really stepping out. We've gone 1.2 kilometers west and encountered mineralization. You know, we've got 600 meters directly from Powerline, but then up the hill on Oryx Hill, which is likely connected to Powerline, we're already, you know, 1.5 kilometers away from Powerline. And we're continuing to step out almost another kilometer for that with our next line. And then the 6 kilometer step outs from that on the far eastern end of that 16.5 kilometer belt that we see in the resistivity and the geochem is pretty exciting.
Right. I mean, those are two major things that are happening. You're doing the consistent step outs on the resource, which is what you've done for 2.5 years, which is what created that amazing resource growth. But now you're taking these big moves to test targets. And I mean, that sort of harkens back to the discovery of Powerline in the first place, where you're like, well, there's sort of a clearing here and it's part of so let's go. And then you found it and you just moved out from there. So you might as well test some other targets because who knows, we don't have any edges.
We don't have any edges. And we do actually have to find some area for infrastructure that's not mineralized. So every hole is good information. Every hole is helping us understand what's going on with the stratigraphy, with the structure, helping us vector in on where our intrusion is. You know, we are intrusion related, but we're in a metasedimentary packet. Where's the heat source that created all of this mineralization? Exactly, and then we're doing the same thing as Powerline on a nitra property. We've done our soils, we've done some trenching, and now we're going to put a few drill holes in it to really understand what's going on stratigraphically, structurally. I'm really excited about having the opportunity to be able to take a few higher risk holes. Right. It's not going to compromise our program because 60,000 meters funded, probably more than 60,000, is very significant, well into 2023. It's nice to have that ability to test some other drill targets.
So, I mean, 4 million ounces, you said it's not quite tier 1 yet. Those goalposts move around and depend on all kinds of other parameters, but sure. I mean, you guys are on a road, you have a power line literally going across your project. So that lowers the bar a bit, but sure, I can agree. Now, until you did this resource update, I think a lot of people were like, well, the thing that will happen here is that Victoria will want the feed for their mine, which is right next door. So that's the Banyan story. Yep. Has that line of questioning eased a bit now that you've got to 4 million ounces? Like, is there more of a sense from investors or interested parties that, you know, that this AurMac is becoming, or is showing clear potential to be an entity in and of itself, a mine in and of itself?
It's starting to change. Okay. And we still have that narrative that somebody acquires both Victoria and Banyan, right? That's the other narrative that we hear a lot of, because you're big enough now, it makes them big enough. But once we're over that tier 1 status, the economics will be there for it to be a standalone project. 4 million ounces, it probably is, just with the capital cost and payback, is an add-on to another mining project. We just have Hecla move in next door too. So, you know, there's a mill next door. And another mining company that's pretty well regarded in the business.
Fair enough,
I think that's another validation of the area.
Yeah, for sure. So you're well funded. You can continue drilling right through right through this program. And like you said, those numbers that you mentioned at the beginning, I think stand out. It took you 40,000 meters of drilling to go from 1 million to 4 million ounces.
Yep.
And you're now essentially at that amount since the resource cutoff, and
Yep.
you still are going to carry on. And importantly, Banyan can continue through the winter. So
Yep.
do you have a goal at this point for when you'll update the resource again? I mean,
It'll be in 2023.
it will be next year.
A little bit assay dependent. When we get enough assays, we're starting to get them back. We've drilled 155 holes as of this morning, released 45. Assays are starting to come quickly. We're also going to get better turnarounds once that lab is installed. And
Right.
most of it's actually arrived on site and is getting set up. So that is going to be a huge advantage to us, as well as partly pay some of our camp costs for operating, which will bring our long-term costs down as well. So we're really getting ourselves positioned. We're talking to Yukon Energy about getting connected to the grid next year.
Because like you say, there's a power line going across your project.
It's like 50 meters from the camp at the nearest power pole. So it's pretty easy to get connected.
Huh. And that's cool. I mean, like it took 2.5 years or so to do the drilling to get you the first big resource upgrade. So to hear that it's going to happen next year, I mean, that's market excitement right there.
That combined with us really trying to vector in on where those heat sources is, using the geochem, using the structure. We have a lot of data now. Like that gives you a lot of data, 38,000 more meters. We're starting to understand the geochemical correlations and being able to potentially find the higher heat zones versus the ones that are more distal. So look for more news as we start to figure out the puzzle. Had to come from somewhere.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to continuing to keep up with the news. It's very consistent, and that's because you just keep stepping out and hitting more gold.
Thanks, Gwen. Appreciate it, and I look forward to keep updating you.